There's no child out there that you tell them one time and they're just okay and they never do it again. It goes against their human nature. So it's learned over time. And if she is doing it out of fear right now, that's okay.
Yeah.
She's learning.
Yeah.
She's 2.5. And I did exactly what this mom did because you're attaching a consequence to their actions. So she's learning, I can obey mommy and do this the right way and get praised and rewarded, or I cannot obey mommy and, get punished. And so what am I going to choose? Hopefully she's going to choose the reward. Discipline in the long game is learned over time, over and over and over in consistency, so that one day it all clicks and they finally get it. It takes a while for them to do first-time obedience. Welcome to Wire Talk. Do you have a toddler that seems to fight you on every single little thing? Everything's a fight, everything's an argument or a pushback. If you do, then today is the episode for you. So let's dive into these questions and figure out, how do we manage our young toddlers?
Hey moms, and welcome to Wire Talk. We are so thrilled that you are here with us today. We are going to be having a very fun but serious episode about how to handle little kids that have really strong emotions, because they look so cute and they're so sweet in their little outfits, but then they little toddlers just have such a mind of their own, and they've turned 2 or 3 or 4, and they finally have this voice that they know how to do, and they have very strong little legs that can run away from you, and they can say no. So how do you handle these situations,
They can,
Mom?
and they do say no.
They do say no. I remember when Harper was little, 12 months old, almost a year, and she would say no, and I thought it was so cute.
Yeah.
And I was like, say it again. And you're like, why are you teaching her that? I'm like, because it's so cute. And you were like, she's going to learn that word all by herself, Emily.
Yeah.
And I ate my words on that. And a month and a half later, I was like, I don't know why I kept telling her, teacher, no, because she figured it out. So
yes, she did. That's one word you do not have to teach a child.
Yes, they know it very well.
That and mine.
Mine and mom.
Gosh, that's so annoying. It's so true.
Mommy,
Yeah.
mommy. Grayson will pull it out though. He'll be like, mommy, mommy.
Okay, we don't need a reenactment
I'm
of
just
that.
telling you that's what he does.
I'm sure.
That's what he does in the morning when he doesn't want to get out of bed. I'm like, get out of bed.
Yeah.
You are 4. Let's go.
Yeah, it's hard. Toddler years, I think they're hard. They're the hardest years.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think 2 or 3 is harder?
Usually 3. If you have a really strong-willed child, like Kelsey was the strong-willed child, and 2 was difficult. She came out of the gate let's go.
Yeah.
But the rest of y'all, it was 3.
I think 3 is harder too.
Yeah.
Because I think 2, they're kind of figuring out, they know how to talk, but they're still kind of figuring it out. But by 3, by golly, they can run a sentence together. Right. And they know how to argue with you.
Well, Kelsey was my earliest talker too. And complete sentences.
Yeah.
She spoke very clearly. It was okay, this girl is going to be a communicator one day. But the rest of y'all, it was totally 3.
Yeah. People are like, just wait for those terrible 2s. And so I kind of buckled down for it. And I'm like, that wasn't too terrible. And then 3 came. I'm like, ooh.
Nobody warned you.
Nobody worried about the 3s, but they were a little bit difficult for me.
Yeah.
But they're all fun, but it's just different.
Yeah.
Very different.
Well, just that constant pushback and no, and I don't want to, and just the temper tantrums and
they have
hard.
Strong emotions.
Yeah, it just catches you off guard. You're not ready for it.
Well, and you're like, I remember the first time Harper asked for a banana, and I gave it to her, and I peeled the banana peel off. And apparently she did not want me to do that. And you would have thought that I was blowing up the world. She was like, and I was like, what? And she goes, the peel. And I was like, I took the peel off, and she's like, I do. And I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't know that was a rule. I'm sorry. I was just trying to be a good mom.
Nobody told me. Nobody told me.
So,
oh, my goodness. Well, let's see what these moms have to say.
I know. Let's get to these mamas' questions. Question 1. I'm a stay-at-home mom to a 3.5-year-old boy. Overall, he's a good boy, but there are many times he will not listen, and it could put him in danger. He ran from me and was running towards a busy street, and I yelled for him to stop. He didn't stop, and when I ran after him, he started running faster. Another instance, he put something in his mouth he could choke on. I told him to spit it out, and he refused. He doesn't take my commands seriously, and I'm afraid he could get hurt. How can I get him to take me seriously and listen to me?
Woo! Well, you're going to have to put a hard consequence in place. I mean, at this age, 3.5, I mean, it's going to have to be immediate and deliberate. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's not like, when I get you home, blah, blah, blah. It's going to have to be right then, right there. So, I mean, this is up to this mom to choose what to do.
Yep.
But I would make it very strict and firm where he knew beyond any shadow of a doubt that you were very upset and just, not happy with him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. So, Mom, can you think of anything that you can give an example or just like a real life example of something this mom could do to kind of like, as you say, put the new sheriff in town?
Right. I think like if they're doing something and you're saying, stop and they're not, then I would then remove them from the situation. So I think about like all of the grandkids play in those Jeeps on our driveway. Yep. And there have been times we've told them, like, don't go past this point.
Yes.
Because we don't want them to go down to the street. So there's like that circle in our driveway and we say, don't go past the circle. So if I looked out and they were going past the circle, I would just walk out there to them and I would say, take the Jeep and go put it in the garage right now. And then if they said, why? Well, I would just say, you're not listening to me. You're not obeying me. I told you to not do that, and you're not doing it. So I think with toddlers, you have to have an immediate consequence where it hurts.
I think even one time, Mom, you said, don't go past this point, and they kept like
inching,
and you got out a piece of chalk and you're like, do not cross this line.
Yeah.
Like this is a definite do not do it. And I think it was Grayson that went past it. And Grayson had to put his Jeep up. So because he knew, like he might have been 3, but he can definitely see, he's a good little driver.
Yeah.
And he saw that line and he said, I'm going to cross it. And Mimi said, well, no. So you said, get in, put it inside.
Yeah. I think with toddlers, they have to know that you're going to follow through. And I'm not saying this mom isn't following through.
Right.
They're running towards the street and him running faster when she's chasing him. That is really scary. And I would probably pick him up and be so just, because you're so fearful that they're going to really, get hurt, run over or whatever. I would probably take him straight to his room and just say, you stay here for 10 minutes. And then I would just leave and not let him come out.
Well, I live on we live in a neighborhood, but we're the first stop sign in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it is very busy. And there's been a lot of times where one of my kids are like inching towards the driveway. And if they don't listen and come back, I say, we're going inside. And I'm like, they're like, but I'm sorry. I'm like, no, because if you can't listen to me to not go past this line, then we're going inside. Because I just take outside away from them.
Yeah.
And it makes them so upset and then I'll give them like 5 minutes or whatever inside. And I'm like, this is why I do what you told me to do. I get down on their level and I'm like, hey, Harper, you did not listen. I love you so much, so I don't want you to get hurt, but we have to go inside. And if we go inside and then maybe like 15 minutes later, I'll be like, all right, we're ready to go outside. But if I say stop and you don't stop, we are not coming back outside.
Yeah, for the rest of the day.
For the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So she knows I mean business.
There you go. That's what they have to know you mean business.
Yeah.
They have to.
Hey moms, take a minute with me and imagine this if you can. Ocean breezes, warm sunshine on your face, maybe the cry of a seagull in the distance, and a getaway designed just for you. Join us next year for Soar at Sea, The Confident Mom, a life-giving conference set on a cruise. Laugh with friends, learn from Karen, and be encouraged in your motherhood journey and reminded that God is with you and will equip you for the incredible calling of being a mom. It's your chance to step away, recharge, and set sail with confidence. Now, the spots are limited, so head to soaratsea.com to grab your spot today. That's SOARATSEA.com. Find that link and more details in the show notes today. Okay, let's get back to the show.
Next question. My 2.5-year-old daughter is finding her voice. Her favorite words are no and me. So cute. Is that normal? I'm also questioning my discipline strategies. For example, if I ask her to bring me a diaper for her baby brother and she refuses, I tell her if she doesn't, then I'll take away whatever toy she's holding. She then complies. But I worry if she's obeying out of fear of losing something rather than learning to do the right thing. I feel like I'm constantly making threats just to make her listen. Am I handling this the right way, or is there a better approach?
I think it's a great question. Discipline is learned over time. So we have to keep that in mind. There's no child out there that you tell them one time and they're just okay and they never do it again. That's just, it goes against their human nature. So it's learned over time. And if she is doing it out of fear right now, that's okay.
Yeah.
She's learning.
Yeah.
She's 2.5. And I did exactly what this mom did. And, because you're attaching a consequences to their action. So she's learning, I can obey mommy and do this the right way and get praised and rewarded, or I cannot obey mommy and, get punished. And so what am I going to choose? Hopefully she's going to choose the reward. And you've got to keep in mind, discipline in the long game is learned over time, over repetition, over and over and over, and consistency, so that one day it all clicks and they finally get it. It takes a while for them to do first-time obedience.
Right.
So I wouldn't worry about, I don't think you're damaging her. I don't think you're doing anything bad. You're just teaching her. And those first 5 years are laying the foundation of the discipline. So you're just teaching her.
Yeah.
And it's not out of fear.
Yeah.
But a little bit of good fear is a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not bad.
Yeah. True.
I don't speed because I'm fearful I'm going to get a ticket.
That's right.
And if I don't see a policeman around, then I might speed. But I'm just risking it for the biscuit. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's right. All right. Sounds great. Okay. Next question. I've been following your ministry for years and I need help. My daughter just turned 7 and she's pushing me so much lately. She has no sense of urgency and zero motivation for anything. She has daily reading to do after school and it takes us easily 1 hour to get through 18 pages in a book. Getting into the car in the morning is a nightmare. I typically just end up dragging her to the car versus dealing with the wait her out game. The stubbornness is real with her lately. Any advice on how to get some pep in this girl's step and some sense of motivation for her schoolwork? I know she doesn't act like this at school. I feel like it's just one of those seasons that she's testing me to see if she can get out of her responsibilities and avoid my expectations. Please help.
Well, this is a great question. And it sounds to me like she's agreeing because she's getting stubborn and she's never been, she's not that way at school because greens want to please. But then whenever she comes home, that's when her stubbornness is kicking in. So I would just lay down the boundaries and then just be like, hey, you're not going to get to go outside and play. So if it takes you an hour and a half to read 18 pages, then you miss playtime outside this afternoon. And then in the morning, I do think you can work with her on trying to help her figure out what is the kink in getting her out the door.
Yeah.
Is it her stubbornness, or is it that her backpack is not ready and she's scattered throughout the house, so that's overwhelming for her? She can't figure out what to wear. If the TV is on in the morning, turn it off. That is the enemy right there. I'd never let y'all watch TV until you were completely ready for school. And even then, sometimes I was like, no, it was just such a hassle to get it off.
Yeah.
So I say never. I did. And then I learned the error of my ways. So then I stopped.
What did I tell you last week?
What?
I was like, Mom, my morning is going so well because I'm not letting Harper watch a show before she goes to school.
Yeah.
And literally the next day, I let her watch a show. And I'm like, well, that did not go well.
No.
And I was like, what is my problem? I literally told you how well it was going.
Yeah.
And Brian's been traveling so much. And I was like, I needed it to go well. And then I turned that TV on. And I was like, this is terrible.
Yeah. So
they don't want to stop watching.
No, I would sit her down and just be like, hey, let's get your backpack packed, ready for school the night before.
Yeah.
Let's figure out what you're going to wear the night before. What do you want for breakfast? I'll get that ready for you in the morning. So I would do as many things as you can beforehand. The thing about a green, if she is a green, is the more you push them, the more they dig their heels in. So you as a mom, you have to watch your voice, your tone, and all of that. Because if you start yelling, she's just going to clam up and go into her little turtle shell, and you're not going to see her, and she's not going to move. So that's and then who wants to go to school with her upset, you're upset,
That's the worst.
everybody's upset. Nobody wants that. The only thing as you're reading this, and I've gone over this a million times, but she said she has no sense of urgency, zero motivation. Her daily reading takes her easily an hour to get through an 18-page book. I would ask her teacher, I know she said here that her teachers say that she's good at school.
Yeah.
But I would ask her teacher, is that normal?
Yeah.
You know, because the reason I say this is because Abby started this type behavior in elementary school. She did have dyslexic. She was dyslexic, and I didn't know it. I didn't find out until she was in the 9th grade. But it would take her an extremely long amount of time to get little projects like that done. And I ended up thinking she had ADHD, but she wasn't. She was dyslexic. It was just her processing took her 3 times longer than a normal person. So I would have a conversation with her teacher, and I would just say, hey, have you noticed this in the classroom? And if her teacher says, no, I really haven't, then I would say, well, would you start paying attention?
Yeah.
And then what would you suggest that I do? Because I have had some teachers tell me with y'all, if it takes them longer than 30 minutes to do their homework, you need to just stop it and send them to school with it not done. And that lets me as a teacher know that they don't have the concept down. And I need to do more teaching on my end.
Yeah.
So I would just have that conversation with the teacher. Like, hey, I'm letting you know, it's taken her an hour to read 18 pages. The TV's off. I'm telling her she can't go outside. We sit there, we cry. It's a battle every single night. So what would you suggest? Number 1, are you seeing these things in the classroom? Number 2, and if it all starts adding up, then you might need to get her tested for some type of learning disability.
Yeah.
Because really and truly, the earlier you find out, the better it will be for your child.
Yeah.
And it may not be a stubborn thing. It may just be a processing thing. Because what was that one we did with Wellesley? The podcast on dyslexia.
Oh,
you might want to go back and read that. Not read, but listen to the Wire Talk podcast with her. What was her name?
Wellesley Honko.
Yeah.
But it's Welsey. Honko is Jonko. She was wonderful.
Wonderful. But as you were reading that question today, I just thought, I want to add to this one because there might be something there. It may not just be a stubborn issue. It might be a learning issue. I don't know.
But I love that you had those conversations with those teachers.
Yeah.
I think that is such a very important, as a former teacher before I had kids, I really did appreciate
Parents
those
letting
me know. They're not necessarily, they're not defensive, and they're not like, they're just wanting to be a part of the team to be to have the best outcome for their child.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's a lot of stuff that you don't see as a parent that happens in the classroom. And there's a lot of stuff as a teacher they don't see that happens at the house. So got to work together, which I think is such a good realization. So I'm glad you saw that. That's awesome.
Well, and even though I did address those issues about Abby with the teachers, she was such a good student, very well behaved. Nobody picked up on it till she hit 9th grade.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. And listen, I was asking and nobody picked up on it. And the psychiatrist that tested her said, she's very intelligent. That's why no one has picked up on this.
Yes.
And he said, but your mama heart knew something wasn't right. And I'm like, I thought it was ADD, but it wasn't. So anyways, the point is even if you don't pick up on it, it'll eventually come out.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hope that helps.
That's great. All right. And as a former Green, I do think... Former still. As a Green, I meant to say fellow. As a fellow Green, I do think getting the backpack ready the night before really helps.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because I do, I'm not going to lump us all together, but when I come home from school or anything, I kind of explode and then I forget where everything is. And so you would be like, Emily, put your shoes by your backpack by the front door. And I was really the only one that had to do that because everyone else had their stuff put it together in very neat systems. But you kind of just worked alongside me with that.
Yeah. And I just think the key is we have to be patient, but it is frustrating. I don't want this mom to feel bad because listen, nobody gets more frustrated about this kind of stuff than me, but I can relate But if you raise your voice and she is agreeing, she's going to shut down.
Shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, next question.
Okay.
Okay, Karen, help. My husband and I are at our wits with our very likely red 4-year-old kid. Mornings are unpredictable and almost everything, eating, brushing teeth, getting dressed, even fun outings, turns into a battle if it's not exactly what he had planned. Tantrums are consistent no matter the consequence. Timeouts, popping, losing privileges. And even kind gestures can set him off. He's closer to his dad and pushes me away often, and even says he hates me. Meanwhile, his teachers say he's sweet and quiet. We also have an older son who misses out on things because of his brother's behavior. We are so desperate, even considering medication. What else can we try?
Well, it definitely sounds like something's up. And if he is a red, obviously there's lots of podcasts from Wire Talk on that, so you can dive in and research all that. That book, Kathleen Edelman, A Grown-Up's Guide to a Child's Wiring, is a great asset resource for you on what to do, what not to do with your reds and all of that. I do think I would tell him the game plan. And I would just say, hey, we are going to do this, this, and this. And if you behave this way, then this privilege is taken away, or you're not going to go on the outing or whatever. And one of you may have to stay back so the older brother doesn't lose out. And I'm sorry, because sometimes teaching something, we are punished as much as a parent as the child. And I know that's frustrating, but that's what I would start showing him. Our life is not going to stop just because you're not being cooperative. You can either get with the program here and be a part and be a team player, or you can stay home and be by yourself kind of thing. I mean, with a parent, obviously. And I would just say, or like if you're going in to get ice cream, I would say, hey, we're going in to get ice cream. This is a privilege. You get 2 toppings and then that's it. And if he gets in there and he wants 3 or whatever, you just say no. And then I would leave and he gets no ice cream.
Yeah.
Even if he pitches a fit, screams, cries, all the things, I wouldn't care. So to me, the fact that he is good at school and church shows you that he can do it.
Yeah.
He's just saving all the fun stuff for you guys as a parent.
Yeah.
So that's what, I don't know about the medication. I would talk to your pediatrician about that. I don't even know what's the appropriate age to start I don't even know what kind of medication to put them on. I have no idea. So I'm not the expert in that realm. But if you have concerns, I would ask your pediatrician, is this normal behavior? Or you can, find a counselor or a psychiatrist and say, is this normal behavior?
Yeah.
What would you suggest?
Are you asking me? Or
I would ask the doctor that.
Okay.
But Emily, what would you suggest?
Well, I thought originally Harper was red.
Yeah.
And then she kind of started acting like this and would just start getting like these bursts and I wouldn't understand. And then I kind of started parenting to her the way that I thought you would parent a red. Like I would be the authoritative figure. I would get kind of stern with my voice. And then I kind of realized that she kind of turned it into a melting pot. And I'm like, what? I thought that you like this. Like, you know what I mean? And then the older she got, I mean, she's 6 now, and you kind of helped me see this too, that she kept using this word perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she's actually blue. So I'm not saying this child is blue, but I'm just saying that's why she did so well. And everyone was like, she's such a great student at preschool. She loves kindergarten because she knows the exact order of everything that's about to happen. She plans it. She knows exactly when I drop her off. She knows what time she goes. She tells me, she goes, well, this is the order. Because I asked her today what time was snacks. She goes, well, this is the order. And she told me exactly the time and everything. So I kind of had to adjust the way I talk to her.
Yeah.
And like the ice cream. Grayson goes in, he sees a bright color. That's the one I want. Harper wants to look at everything. So I have to set her up. Make the right decision. Yeah. So I have to kind of like, hey, Harper, you get 2 flavors to try. You will be the last one to pick. But when I get to you, you need to pick or we have to leave because we can't stay here in line for 5 minutes while there's people behind us. So I kind of, you told me you got to prep her for what's about to happen.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
You got to let them know what the game plan is. And if he is a blue, he does like to do things a certain way and all of that. But I would.
And I thought it was more if she was just being defiant.
No.
Like with her bedtime routine. because it would drive me crazy. I'm like, why do you care? But she does. She cares about those little things.
Yeah.
And honestly, Brian does really well with her because he's that blue temperament too. And he can stay calm with her. And I am green, yellow. So I have no blue or no red in me. And it just kind of irks me. I'm like, let's just be flexible here. So I kind of had to adjust the way I spoke to her.
Yeah.
And I had to adjust my expectations too with her.
So it sounds like you just need to do a little bit more investigation. Put on your investigation cap. You need to be a student of your child, like I talk about in the book, Survival Guide to Motherhood. So,
But you're doing a great job.
You are. And listen, it's hard. And,
it is hard.
4 is tricky. It's a tricksy.
It is.
So, but I wouldn't let your whole family revolve around the temper and all that. I would let that older son do things with one of y'all and let the younger one see, you can't act like this and then participate in all this stuff. Sure. It's not the way this goes down.
Yeah.
Hope that helps.
Yeah, it helps me. Well, everyone, thank you so much for writing in your questions. And if you're sitting here listening thinking, man, I really need to listen to this again, or I think my friend would really like it, share it, subscribe, because we would love to have you on our channel every week. Every Tuesday, we drop a new episode. But also, if you're like, I have a question for Karen, how do I get these in? Download the Birds on a Wire app. It's super easy to use. And there is a little box that says Ask Karen. So she gets the questions, and then we put them into podcasts, and we answer them.
That's right.
It's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. That's all we have for today. And thank you for joining us. And we will see you guys next week here on Wire Talk.